If you have a story or a topic that you would like to explore with us, please get in touch using one of the links in the description. We are recording interviews now. All events depicted in this podcast are real. However, the names, locations, and some details have been changed for the privacy of those involved. Hello and welcome to Walking on Eggshells with an Emotional Vampire, a podcast that above all things is about family. I'm not going to bother with the regular preamble for today's episode. We have a very cool guest today with a very interesting story. So this time, I'm going to let the conversation speak for itself.
She says, "What are you going to wear for this thing?" I'm like, "I don't think they're going to see me." She's like, "We got to put something on." I'm like, "Okay, honey, sorry."
No, you got to be comfortable.
Just wear a t-shirt. They won't see the rest.
Yeah.
I
love it.
All right, I've got a really important question for you, Isaac, to start with. So,
Shoot.
Your name is. I've been trying to work out what the exact pronunciation is because it's Curgenven, but it could be like Curgenven or Curgenven.
Look, if I'm honest, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I believe it's Curgenven, in Australia anyway. It's originally from Cornwall. And when I've done the Google Translate, it comes out totally differently. So I've never actually heard it pronounced properly. So in Australia, I've just broken into 3 syllables and just gone Curgenven. And that's always seemed to work for me.
It's funny, I didn't actually even contemplate Gen. I was Jen, just Curgenven, but Curgenven.
Most people do. Yeah, no sweat at all. Look, I've got called a lot worse. So yeah, that's fine.
Nice. And you're using your real name.
Yes. And so I've tried to memorize your pseudonyms.
Yes.
Golden Boy, Aria, and Ellie.
Well, and I've also got Lily here, so my wife's on this one too. Usually.
Oh, hello, Lily.
Oh, hey.
Nice to meet you. Oh, now I really feel like I'm part of the family. This is awesome.
You know what else is crazy? This is the first time there's been another male on here ever. It's always me and all girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm very privileged then. Very, very fortunate.
I think that's why Lily came on, to make sure that they still had the balance of power.
Yeah.
Oh, love it. How good.
You are recording, yes?
I am recording. Yes, I'm 1 minute 55 in.
Oh my God.
Nice. Love it.
You definitely listen to the podcast. You know all the bits.
Yeah.
All the bits. Oh, pretty good.
I wasn't going to come on and not do my homework. Goodness.
All right. Isaac Curgenven is your name.
Very good. Yes.
You've just released a book. The cool thing about it was when we first sort of started messaging back, you actually sent me the final draft of your book to read. So I got to read it before you released it, which was incredible. It was like such a cool thing to have happen. And the book's awesome as well. So
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think you were officially the third person to read it. My wife, my editor, and yourself. So very esteemed company there.
Oh, pretty good.
Cool.
So yeah, the book's called The Big People's Game, which is named after, I suppose, the discipline title my stepdad gave growing up. So I thought I'd name the book that. It was always going to be called that ever since I was a kid. I thought if I ever write something, I'm going to bloody call it this. And so I did, and I never actually thought I would ever actually release it. Originally, it was just for my kids, so they sort of knew sort of who I was as a child and who I was as a young man, who I want to be as a father and as an adult. And then opportunities just kept knocking, and I kept getting pushed to do more with this, and I thought I could use it as a platform to hopefully help other young men especially realize they're not defined by what they see and what they go through as children. And hopefully use it as a platform to sort of connect with more charities and bring them on board with corporations and just make more safe spaces for women, kids, and even men sort of going through tough times. So yeah, that's I suppose the goal for it.
I think that's one thing that I got from the book is you're a person who has, like, you're a very zen guy, and you have like a sense of, I don't know, like a deeper sense of purpose or something about
That's
you.
the nicest thing anyone's ever said.
You have do you have a charity or something as well? That was a thing too, right?
Yeah, so I'm I suppose an ambassador for a charity called Stand By You Foundation. How that came to be was about 6 years ago. I got introduced to the charity founder, Chris Boyle, and I pitched him this idea. I said, Chris, I've got this dream that when I was a kid, the only safe space for me growing up was really inside shopping centres. And it's the only place me and my mum felt comfortable to be, and we could sort of go and seek help. And we knew that if there was ever a scene, it wouldn't be done in public because there was always a happy family facade that was being kept up. So I pitched him this idea that how good would it be if you could bring multiple services together under one roof inside a shopping centre where, people just naturally go. No one knows whether you're there to go shopping or, pick up some school supplies, or in this case, have a multiple service provider inside of a shopping centre. So women, kids and men could seek help to get out of domestic and family violent relationships. And I suppose the idea started to flow from there. And in about 3 years of sort of trying, we got, I suppose, the first ever concept off the ground called Magnolia Place in a major shopping centre in Helensvale that essentially is a normal shopfront open to anyone and everyone and brings multiple services together so the women aren't running all over town to try to get services from Centrelink to legal aid to protection orders and stuff like that. It brings it all under one roof.
It's cool. And the other thing is, so it's called Stand By You?
That's the name of the charity group, yes.
Did it have anything to do with the movie Stand By Me when you were naming it?
Well, I can't take credit for naming it. I came on board after the fact, so I've come on board as an ambassador for the charity, and I fundraise for them and promote for them and do TV shows and stuff like that for them.
Because actually, Stand By Me, that movie has a special meaning for me because when I was in my teens, there was a dead body that I went searching for, like from that movie. So,
really?
Yeah, and I found pieces of the body that was left over after the police took it.
Oh my God.
That's a whole nother story.
Oh,
but
He's such a weirdo. Yeah, I know.
it was and I was doing our work experience for part of school, and I remember, and it was at a motorbike shop, and I heard about it. They were talking about it in the motorbike shop, and then I said, "Can I leave early because I want to go see this dead body?" And they all went like, "You're a weird kid," and then let me go.
Yeah, they were the same as well.
Yeah. So
that is wild.
Yeah. So
the days before mobile phones, right, where you could be recording that stuff and going viral for
That's
it.
true, right? I never, because I would have for sure taken photos of it, but that time,
oh yeah,
that was those chunks of dead flesh were just for me to look at, no one else.
Oh my God.
Selfie.
That's wrong.
All right. So your book, like I said, I've read the book. I actually found your book sort of reminded me of Boys Follows Universe. And Boys Follows Universe, when I read it, I said to Lily, that it's like Shantaram meets Stranger Things by way of two hands. And so your book is kind of like Shantaram meets Stranger Things by way of two hands, but it's autobiographical as well. So
that is very high praise. So thank you. I mean, the Trent Dalton book is incredible and written like an absolute poet. I can't hold a torch to how good that's been written.
Can I ask a question? Sorry.
Of course.
In the beginning, you were talking about the discipline. This might be very private. I don't know. Sometimes I just ask questions. Anyway, what kind of discipline was it? Like what was so different with how he was? It was your dad, you said, right?
No, so it was my stepdad. So I've never met my birth father. So there's no name on the birth cert. So I don't know who he is. I've never been told. I have a name, but I don't know if it's actually the name.
Okay.
I did a DNA test about 4 or 5 years ago and found out that I'd always been told I was Italian Australian, and then I find out I have zero Italian in me whatsoever. So either my mum was mistaken, or the guy maybe lied about where he's from. I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
But my stepdad came on board in sort of 1986. I would have been about 3 years old, and sort of by the age of 6. And this is, I suppose, a slightly longer way to get to why. I suppose the punishment happened the way that it did. His eldest son from a previous relationship had molested me. So I was really jumpy around adults. So I was not comfortable being sort of alone around adults. And the house we lived in had a downstairs toilet. So I would go downstairs, use the toilet, and sometimes forget to flush because I didn't want people to hear me as I would sort of leave that downstairs area and sprint back upstairs to sort of retreat to my room where I felt somewhat safe. Anyway, my stepdad, who did know about the assault, caught me one time and grabbed me. I would have been 6 years old. Grabbed me by my feet, held me upside down, put me headfirst in the toilet, and just flushed it on me like 3-4 times.
Oh my god!
God.
So yeah, so that was really hard. And that was one of the stories that I tried really hard to piece together as to what the precursor was for that outcome. And so I spent a lot of time sort of delving into that, which was one of those stories where I really wanted to make sure I remembered that, because it was one where it's easy to block that out. But that was me at probably the age of 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
So that was very much just being told, it's his way or the highway. And he was a big dude, so he would have been, 6'3", 6'4", probably 120 kilos. I always say he looked like Hulk Hogan, but instead of the platinum blonde, had like the black hair. He was that kind of figure.
Okay.
As we got older, like it just progressed to different things, like not a lot of like closed punch hits and stuff like that, but certainly being thrown through a wall, or other ones used to be a lot of psychological stuff. So, if you ever turned your back on him, you'd like try to stick a finger in your bum.
Oh my god.
So you're always tense around him. And if you spoke out of line or did anything, like, how kids these days don't get off technology.
Yeah.
So in the 80s, if I had my handheld Donkey Kong game for too long after I got told to put it down, I would literally have it shattered in front of me by a sledgehammer with my hands either side of it. And I think part of him was hoping I tried to steal the game back before the sledgehammer hit it. But I never did. I was always too smart for that. But I'll never forget like the button batteries and plastic shattering everywhere. So he was always very volatile, and he liked making big scenes and productions in anything that he did, good and bad.
That's horrible.
Yeah,
God, sorry for asking. I did not know it was
not at
like,
all.
to this
No.
And
Look, that's what we're here for.
Sorry, go, Lily.
do you think that? So you said that it was your stepbrother who molested you.
Yeah.
So do you think that, or maybe like, so this just comes from me and Lucas watching a lot of shows and listening to podcasts and stuff. But do you think that something happened to him and then that's why he did that to you?
Yeah, and look, I don't go into it in the book just because I try to keep the book as honest about my story as possible, because I suppose his story is not mine to really share. But my understanding is that he had a really rough childhood as well. His dad, my stepdad, wasn't any easier on him. If anything, he was more extreme.
Okay.
So I think he went through some really hard times. After that incident, he sort of went away. In about 1990, he went to jail for a while for unrelated matters. And then I never really saw him too much after that. So yeah, I guess when I think back on that, I don't sort of hate him for it. I don't hold any resentment to him for it. Like it was what it was. And ultimately, like, I wouldn't be where I am in life without those experiences, good and bad, that have sort of molded me into who I am now. So I feel for him. I don't wish him ill, but we haven't been in contact since probably the early 90s.
Okay.
So the stepdad plays a huge part in the book. Obviously, he's and he's a huge character, someone that you can picture in a movie. Like someone famous could definitely play that character. And he's that hyper masculine thing. A lot of the abuse in there, it takes the form of, it's almost like he's treating you like he's a coach or something. Is what I got from it. Who's training you super hard. To do crazy. Be crazy fit, and then I think the diet and things like that.
Really good way to put it. Yeah, really, really good frame up. I guess that's spot on. I think part of it was motivation, part of it was madness. Look, the results worked. Like, I guess to an extent, I became very resilient. I became very strong. I became very good at basketball, which was my one outlet that I had that always kept me on the straight and narrow. It always kept me with positive intent. So I never turned to drugs or alcohol or anything destructive behaviors. For me, my escape was getting out of the house as long as possible to play sports. And for me, that was basketball. So I think he will always take a lot of credit for my success. And while I never went pro, at my peak, I played in the US back in 2001, auditioning for high school scholarships and university scholarships. and came back and played in the level below the NBL, which for me was great. Like my goal growing up was to play basketball in the US. I was able to tick that off, and maybe not as prolific as the NBA or even the NCAA, but still pretty awesome to be able to say a kid from Brisbane at the time was able to do those things.
Did you? So you there's bits where you talk about like exactly what you said, how the stuff he did, the way he trained you, it actually worked. You did become really good at sports from it. Is that strange for you? Do you just feel that? I don't know. It's hard for me to explain.
I know what you mean. That's like a double-edged sword, right?
It is. That's it.
As bad as it could be, it was pretty good in some ways as well. And that's one thing about the book. Like, as much as yes, I highlight some of the big things that happen. Like, it's not all bad. Like, a lot of my childhood was really good. And when I've sort of reviewed it, I've actually become really nostalgic and looking back on it, going, "Oh, this actually had some really good times." And I guess his methods, while certainly unique, it worked for me, and for me, I guess it gave me a reason to be out of the house and gave me a reason to throw myself into sport. So it's hard because when I look back on it, I guess I don't feel anger towards, I suppose, him or anything that sort of we went through. But I see as a dad now, I'm like, I can't do that to my kids. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably the hardest adjustment, is in working out what a loving, caring, supportive father feels like. And how they do that. So every day I'm a dad, and I've got 3 kids, currently 15, 13, and 9. So every day as a dad, it's like a new experience, because I've never seen this before. I've never, had this role model before. So for me, it's all so brand new. And
you had a diet, right? I think it was vegetarian or vegan or very strict diet.
Yeah, so very strict vegetarian. And essentially all of our food was pretty controlled. So my mum was a sensational cook. So my mum was always around. She was literally just my everything growing up. And she was such an amazing cook. So while we were vegetarian, and like very strict vegetarian for probably 20 years, it never felt like we were missing out on anything, because she was just phenomenal. But every morning, like, we'd have aloe vera gel shots. Yeah, I don't know if you ever had aloe vera gel.
No.
Like, normally you just put it on a sunburn.
Yeah.
Drinking it is atrocious. It's supposed to be really good for you, but it's something that I can never get that taste and texture out of my mind. We had like no sugar, so there was no chocolate in the house. We could have like carob buds, which is like a sugar-free chocolate, and like if you were really well behaved, it might be flavored like Jaffa or mint or something. And then drinks, there was no milk, so it was soy milk the whole time, water. And for special occasions, like a sparkling apple juice.
Are you still vegetarian now?
Mostly. So I have cheated on my vegetarian ways a little bit with chicken wings, especially when it comes to watching sports. So guilty, but essentially still predominantly, I still haven't ever eaten red meat. Really, it's just something that hasn't ever really appealed to me, and I feel pretty fit and healthy as it is, so I don't really see much of a reason to change from what's been working to date.
Yeah. It's interesting, because 6 years old, you were saying, is when. So I mean, yeah, that's your whole life pretty much. So that's exactly what you know. So the stepdad as well. So in the book, and it sort of gets a bit blurry, because your book is very much in the perspective of you as a child when you're talking about this. And so I found myself asking a lot of questions when I was reading the book about further things that I didn't necessarily get answers to, that I was curious about.
Yes.
So you move from house to house, but the whole setup, your family units and the way that worked is really unconventional. Can you maybe give a rundown on that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So you're spot on. I didn't answer a lot of those questions because, again, I try really hard in this book not to tell other people's story, because I really don't want to go outside of the lines of what I actually knew at the time. And while, more stuff's come to light since I've got older, I still try to maintain a really confidentiality with other things that people have gone through to sort of keep me where I am today and support me to get through life to date. So essentially, as I said before, no birth father. I had 2 stepdads growing up. The main one was the one that the book is predominantly about. He was around from like 1986 to 2000. He was previously married and had 2 kids. And essentially, the family unit it's difficult to articulate. At the time, it was quirky. It was a very open family, but no one knew what it actually was until we sort of got out of it. And then we sort of looked back and were like, oh, that was essentially a cult. It was essentially a polygamous relationship, except no one ever got married. And at any time we had between 3 to 6 women living in a house with us and another, 2 to 5 kids. Our surnames were all changed to sort of fit in with, his expectation of what a strong family unit looked like. So having, multiple different names across the group of people was frowned upon. So we all changed our name to be under the one. Essentially, he exploited the older women that were in the group. The group was called the Family, which ironically is what the famous cult, the Family, was called. In Australia in the sort of the 60s.
Yeah.
So it was openly called the Family, but we never saw it as a cult. It wasn't until we left, and when everything sort of broke up in 2000, that we also went looking for answers and realized it was a really controlling spiritual awakening. Kind of facade, which was essentially all of the women working and pooling their resources so my stepdad could live his lavish lifestyle of traveling to different places all over the world and investing in different business ventures. And essentially they all left with nothing, barely the car that they had from, the 70s or 80s. And he had, a beautiful Land Rover and trips to Utah and a whole lot of different business ventures and stuff like that. So the women that were there certainly gave up a lot, both time and energy and money, certainly, to sort of stay and to be with us. So I always hold them in the highest regard because I'll never know the depths of what they went through to keep us safe and to keep food on the table.
You call them aunties in the book, right?
Yeah, so everyone was referred to as an auntie, which again is another nuance to other cults, which again I didn't realize at the time. Everyone was just an auntie despite being no blood relation. And then he had brothers, in inverted commas, who, again, I don't believe were of any direct relation to him, but he referred to them as such. And if you think of it like a business structure, he would have been the all-seeing, all-controlling CEO. The brother would be like the board of directors, making sure everything's being run properly. And then the women under him and the aunties were kind of the staff. They were the cooks, the cleaners, the earners, the lovers. We had some part-time members, I guess you would say, come in where they would stay, but not for very long. Some would be housekeepers, some would be students, some would be single mums that were, looking for guidance or a safe space. And he was really charismatic and really able to draw them in. And he would openly call himself a master manipulator. So he really lived and breathed that. He was very, very good at what he did. And we all stayed together, like I said, for the best part of probably 12 years. And members came and went. So it became really hard to stay too attached to anyone in particular. Because often what had happened is you come home from school and just find that half the house had cleaned out. And you'd come home, it's like, what's happened? Like, where are my aunties? Where are my brothers? Like, where did everyone go? And because everyone generally left in such a rush, there was no letters. Like, there was no, there was no mobile phones to get, text messages to say, hey, we've had to pack up and leave because he threatened to kill us or something. So you're left just wondering, like, what's happened? Why didn't they take me with them?
Have you tried to contact any of the sins or just sort of lost?
No, I have. I did. I tried to contact several of them a little while ago. And I guess it becomes difficult because since this all sort of happened, my mum and I were still pretty close after this. Everyone else kind of separated. So after the family broke up, my mum, my little sister, who... so we've got the same mother but different dads. Obviously, my dad, I don't know. Her dad was my stepdad. I'm trying to do an org chat on this is ridiculous. I'm so sorry. I've tried. I can't make it happen. But they moved to Newcastle to sort of start over. A couple of aunties took off out west of Gympie. Another one went out to sort of southwest Queensland. So it was kind of like, I always liken it to a pool table and someone breaks and the balls just go everywhere. Now, after probably another 6-7 years, my mum and I started to strain in the relationship. She had sort of moved to Newcastle when she came back. By that time, I had gone through a lot of stuff when she was away. I dealt with being homeless because I I literally didn't have a place to stay. I came home from that trip in the US playing basketball to, I knew when I was over there that the family had split up, and I came home to essentially an empty house and a few days left on the lease where I had to pack up my stuff and then find somewhere to stay. Now, everyone just assumed I'd stay with my girlfriend, and that was good and well at the time. That's a lot of stress to put on a very young relationship. And after about 3 or 4 weeks, that started to really fracture. So I started living in my car. So I left my big stuff there, and I was living in my Mazda 323, which was this beautiful, beautiful ride. Still my favorite car. But yeah, I was living in that, and so I would set up at Main Beach. I would live in the car, have ocean views. No one really realizes how cold it is sleeping in a car, especially through winter, until you've kind of got to do it. But I got a job down there and started to sort of work my way up. But when my mum came back from Newcastle, 3-4 years later, I had changed a lot, and I really wasn't her son anymore. I felt more like a friend than a son, and it put a lot of strain on the relationship. And then when I started to move on with my partner, which I'm sure this will ring some bells at weddings and stuff like that from different stories I've heard, did not candle the fact I was moving on with my partner at all. Just, she wanted to be the center of attention. She didn't want her son to grow up and leave her. I think a lot of that is partly because I was the only person to ever stick by her. I was the only male to ever stay by her through her life, through everything. But I couldn't be married to her and my wife any longer, so I had to make a call. And essentially, where the book culminates is a true story. My wife and I had our first child, and it was a very stressful labour. The uteral wall didn't thin, so my son was in distress. They had to perform an emergency Caesar after giving my wife an epidural, so they were really concerned that her blood had thinned. If they did the surgery, there was a risk of bleeding out, so it was a really, really stressful birth. I had to sign waivers saying I wouldn't sue if anything went wrong. They had to bring a doctor and a specialist in from another hospital to perform the surgery. So we got through that. We got them both out. It was just the most serene time of life, right? I couldn't believe what I've seen my wife go through to give us a family, and it's a whole nother depth of love you see for someone and feel for someone when you see them go through that. When we came home from the hospital, I had a letter on my doorstep from my mum seeking grandparental custody of our child.
Oh, sorry for laughing, but what?
No, that was very much my response. At first, I thought it was like a congratulations letter, so I've eagerly hopped inside and had a read of it and read it's her seeking grandparental custody. So I had to make a call then and there, and I spoke to a solicitor. He said, yeah, it's a real thing. If you let her see the kids, she will always have access and she can claim this. But if you don't, and if you draw a line in the sand now, then you're not withholding anything she hasn't had before. So I had to make a really tough call 15 years ago now, and I've seen my mum once since then at my nan's funeral.
And so the kids haven't seen her either?
No, the kids haven't seen her. I've told the kids, look, when you turn 18, I'll never hide from you who your nan is. I'll never hide those details from you. If you want to look her up, be my absolute guest, right? Because that is a part of your history that I didn't have access to when I was a kid, so I would never withhold that from you. But my job as a father is to protect you guys first and foremost. And the number one thing I can do by that is protecting the people that could be in your life and could be really cancerous for you and your growth and your happiness. So I've just got to put them first. And when they grow up and they want to do their own thing, that's their call to make.
The relationship with you and your mum in the book, it's you've basically told the last part of it. The bit that's really important in the book is that your mum is kind of one of the best characters for the whole book. It's such a surprise when things turn sour, because I didn't really get any hint of that happening until it did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the same. Growing up, she was my safety blanket. She was my protector. She was the best cook I ever had. We felt emotion so closely to each other. We're literally born a day apart. I'm June 14, she's June 15. So we are literally right there, just always been on the same page, always sort of felt and thought the same things, always been very connected to one another. So it's literally the hardest decision I've ever had to make in separating and cutting that off, because it just went really toxic in probably the 3 to 4 years leading up to getting married, and then it just fractured to a point where I couldn't repair it then and there, and it may come back in the future, but it's really hard when someone doesn't understand, no matter how much you try to explain it to them, why you've had to make the decisions that you've made. So I really hope that if she reads this book, she gets out of it how much I do love her and how much I want her to be happy in this life and how much I wish genuinely nothing but the best for her. It just can't be with me by her side.
It sounds like she's all good when she's your number one, basically.
Yeah.
And then comes hard when you move on with someone else.
Yeah, and it was a pattern that I saw emerging like earlier in the piece. Like when I was going through high school, I had girlfriends telling me that, hey, I think your mum's trying to come between us. And I'm like, listen, no one's giving me an ultimatum between mum and them, right? Like I'm going to side with mum every time. And then after about the third time, I started to go, maybe they're onto something here. And then there was other friendships where they'd sort of said, yeah, your mum doesn't like us being friends. Like she thinks like there's something else here. And I'm like, no, she definitely doesn't. And sort of the more I found out, the more we'd sort of, spoke about it, the more I was like, oh, actually there's something here. Like I'm going to struggle having any kind of material relationship with my mum still here because she is commanding so much of my attention, so much of my time, so much of my focus that it's really difficult. Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
So, first one, I might have missed it, but how long did it take you to realize, like, or just understand your mom's behavior to kind of, back off a bit, or like, not back off, like to kind of push her away, like?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long did that take you to realize, or like at what age was it that you were like, okay, this is
you're taking notes,
Yeah.
Lily. We're gonna work out what we're gonna do.
Yeah, look, it was a really sudden decision. I was fighting for it the whole way because I thought, we're going to get through this. We always do. Like we've been through a roller coaster with the wedding, roller coaster through childbirth. Like we knew it was going to come good, and it was one of those things where if that letter wasn't there on my doorstep when we got home from the hospital, Mum would probably still be in my life today. But I had to make a decision for what was best for my kids and my family, and it was a really, really tough decision, but it was the only one I could make and still maintain the family that I wanted with a wife and kids and, a house and all the stability, all these things I didn't have growing up. I really had one shot at that. And unfortunately, the collateral damage on that was Mum.
Yeah. And
she did it to herself. That letter's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she'll always claim the letter was like coerced and it was forced by someone else to make her write it, and that may be true. Like I'll never know, but it was in her handwriting, and the solicitor was really clear with his advice, and again, really fortunate. I took the time and had the people around me to get that advice. But yeah, it's always going to be something that I feel deeply sad for making that decision, but then I also know that it was the only right decision to make.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it was the right decision.
Yeah.
Thanks.
As hard as it is, sounds like you made the right choice.
Yeah.
If it wasn't that, it probably would have been something else further down the line anyway.
Yeah, that's it, right? I'm sure that's it. And I look around at sort of the people that, were there with us through this, and I think a lot of them look at the life that I've been able to build, and they kind of go, that's what I want. You know what I mean? I want the house. I want the job. I want the kids. I want that. I want that stability. And a lot of them who are still involved with my mum and sort of other people from sort of that family unit growing up, they don't have that because it's just never been something that they've been able to access. It's always been very transient. It's always been very chaotic. It's always been a lot of moves. And I think it takes a lot to break out of that cycle. And I guess if there's one thing I hope this book does, it's help people, especially young men, break out of that cycle.
What does your wife, when you met her and she became a part of your life and all of that, like what was her view of it? Or like what did she think about your mom and like, and what does she think about her today?
I don't know if I can say on the podcast what she thinks about her today,
Okay.
but certainly at the time, it was, everyone's got quirky family, right? So it was never anything that was destructive. It was never anything that was, there wasn't a lot of friction. You know what I mean? Like when we first got together, it was very opening, very warm. Mum's always a very warm person. But yeah, like again, it was really unexpected. Like it got stressful around the wedding times. I think everyone does to some extent, but even after the wedding, like we said, look, we just need a break because the wedding's been stressful. Having, to re-invite your partner multiple times has been stressful. You making a drunken speech at the wedding was stressful. There's a lot of stressful things that happen. We just need a break. We just need a little time to detox. We're going on honeymoon. We'll sort of catch up when we get back. And then we sort of caught up a little bit when we got back. The communication lines were open, but not what it was before. While we were, going through the childbirth and stuff like that. And then when we were in hospital, we're like, you know what I mean? Like life, this is so amazing. Like how incredible is this? Like I can't wait for, our child to meet my mum, meet grandma. And my wife was on board. She was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like we've been through a lot, but when we're home, when we're safe, when we're in our home, we can bring her in. I just don't want her here in the hospital with me right now. And I'm like, I get that. All good. Support it. Mum took the fact that she wasn't invited to hospital to heart. She took that as really personally. And I tried to explain, Mum, this isn't personal. This was a really stressful birth. And she really struggled to understand, what could be so stressful about it that she couldn't be there. And so, yeah, and after sort of the decision got made and I said, look, we're just going to have to call this as a break now. It just got really, really volatile and sort of the different personalities, I guess you would say, sort of emerged. And, sometimes it would just be loving and really somber emails and messages. And other times it'd be like, I should have had an abortion. Wow. And it's like, you can't go to those two extremes and expect stuff to be cool afterwards. Like you can't take back something that you'd say. So yeah, I think after that, my wife really tried to put a wall around me to protect me from it because she knows that if I don't write it down, I tend to forget it. And I tend to forgive because for me, like if I held on to everything that I've sort of been through in life, I don't think I'd still be here today. So letting go of it's always been such a big thing for me. And I think that's where my wife tries to build a bit of a fort around me to sort of protect me from people I'd otherwise let back in and go, you know what? Oh, I can't remember what actually happened that was so bad. And yeah, so she's very protective.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's funny hearing you say all these things because I'm obviously the newest one to this family, and there's just so many similarities. And even with like Lucas, I'll say stuff and he'll be like, no, it's not that bad. Oh no, you're exaggerating, or no, it wasn't like that, or and I'm like, no, it was. But he tends like to, I guess, forget as well.
I forget everything.
And then
as soon as
then
it's done,
just like,
I forget about
brush
it.
it off, or and I'm like, that's not normal. Like that's fucked up.
And that's why I love listening to the podcast. I think between the four of you guys, it's like I feel like I'm at a family dinner sitting around the table, and I feel so much like you and my wife would get on so well because you guys are so similar. And then me and Lucas sort of get on so well because we're so similar. And I love the sort of the Ari and Ellie sort of coming in. I feel like I'm part of a family here. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
The thing that I've found was when I'd have a new relationship, I wouldn't involve the parents, and I'd sort of say to the girlfriend or Lily, and I'd say, the parents they're a bit fucked up, it's pretty bad. But they'd always be like, you're exaggerating. And then they'd meet them and they'd be really charismatic on their best behavior. And they'll be like, oh, they're great. There's nothing wrong with them. They're completely fine. And then over the course of the next few months, they would realize, and then it would completely flip.
The mask comes down.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So I don't think I never exposed anyone to knowingly to my stepdad.
Yeah.
Because as sort of the book goes into, again, his story is not my story, so I'm really careful not to dive too much into it. There are a lot of allegations around behavior that he conducted in. So I was always really mindful and wary to involve any women or girls around this person. So none of my girlfriends post high school have ever sort of met him. And introducing my mum to them was always a bit fraught because if they didn't gel with my mum straight away, like it was just done. Like if mum's like, no, they are not the one for you. Mum actually set me up on a couple of dates too, and she had good taste. I don't know where she met some of them, but she was a good pick of character. And even my wife now, like we've been together 16 years. Sorry, we'd together 18 years, married for 16. They got on really well at the start also, like really, really well. And it wasn't until I think Mum realised that she was the one for me that it started to devolve. And I think at the same time she was going through relationship struggles with her partner, and she was seeing her sisters and stuff, go through divorces and come out of it with houses and come out of it with money and come out of it with real estate. And she came out of, a long-term relationship with, my stepdad with literally nothing. So I think there was probably a little bit of sour grapes, for lack of better terms, a little bit of bitterness and resentment. And I don't think it was expressed like towards me and towards us. I just think we were a byproduct of what she was going through. With
the stepfather, so you said that like there was lots of hooking up with sexual partners and things like that. Was there lots of kids as well, or was that all taken care of like with contraception or whatever it was?
Yeah, look, no other kids. My sister was the only one sort of that was his in the relationship. But yeah, at any other time, like I said, there was between sort of 3 to 6 women living with us. Obviously, again, I was really young at the time, so to understand sort of what it all meant and why everyone was like sharing bedrooms and stuff, I didn't really get at the time. It wasn't until I sort of looked back on it, or I got into high school and I'm like, oh, these hang on a sec. How come some people sleep with like 3 people and I can only sleep with 1? Like I don't understand this. And I sort of I realized that sort of what I'd seen growing up wasn't I suppose normal in this culture. And so I did some research and like, oh, it's not polygamy, because in polygamy they get married and it's like an open thing, like everyone's open about it, but this wasn't. This was still very secretive. So I don't know what else to call it, because
it's kind of where I was going, because I've been looking at there's all these websites that have, if you go on Google and you say, am I in a cult?
I thought you were looking at how to have multiple partners. I'm like, your wife is on this phone call, man. We got to drop and roll.
Sounds like a lot of effort. No, there's a lot of things like, am I in a cult? And like there is things like, are there lots of babies being born is one of them. So I thought I'd check and see if there's lots of babies around. But there's
no, unfortunately not. I would have loved that. I would have loved to be a big brother. Like I'd love that role. But it's also like super hard when you come home from school and they're gone. Right, when the mums pack up and leave. So there was one auntie who was with us probably 3 different occasions. She had 2 boys, and we were super close because we were together for 18 months at a time. And like I loved that. I loved playing that role. But then to come home and just to find their rooms empty, their stuff gone, cleaned out, like no goodbyes, nothing, and you don't get to see them again. Like that was it. Like they were in or they were out, and it probably went like 3-4 years before I saw them again, and it was just having a heart ripped out coming home from school. Like you just never knew what you were walking into any day coming home.
Did your sister read the book?
She hasn't yet. She knows about it. I've spoken to her about it. We obviously have very different perceptions on who these people were because we have different relationships. Now, I've told her, and she's actually helped me with some of the stories, which was great. I asked her, I said, listen, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. Do you have any stories you would like to share with me and see if it triggers any memories I might have suppressed or just forgotten? And so she sent me a half a dozen, and a few of them made it. And I'm like, oh, I remember that. I forgot to put that in. And it's crazy because like if I didn't get forced to stop, I would still be writing little stories in, and like I could go on forever with these different things that just like trigger in my mind. I'm like, oh, what about that? Yeah. And I go running back. I'm like, no, it's in there. It's okay. I captured that, or I've forgotten. It's too late. It's gone. Let it go. So look, she knows about it. We've had a couple of calls about it. I'm sure. I really hope she takes it with how it's intended, and it's not intended to sort of slam anyone. It's intended to be a story about resilience and a story about, what we went through as kids together, because she was with me through a lot of this. And while we were treated differently because we had different dads, certainly I still will always see her as my little sister, and nothing will change that. So I trust that she sees that she's been portrayed with love and with caring and kindness as she sort of reads it.
And anyone who reads the book, it is uplifting. Your whole thing is uplifting the whole story. So it doesn't wallow in the negative stuff at all.
Thank you.
Which I think when I first heard bits and pieces of your story and you sent the draft through, I was expecting it to be that, and so it was actually a completely different tone to what I expected.
Well, thank you.
But to get into the negative stuff, I do have another question. There's one part in the book where you talk about effects it had on you, you're growing up, and you said that you used to knock yourself out. But you don't give any other details. Did I read that right? I was trying to work out what that meant exactly.
Yeah. Not healthy at all. I don't recommend this.
Is it possible? I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. Look, just because the emotional pain for me was really difficult. I could take the physical pain. Like the physical pain wasn't a problem, but the emotional pain I really struggled to deal with. And so I found that self-harm by essentially either running into something at a very fast pace or slamming my head into tiles on a floor or something like that would often do the trick just to knock me out for a little while. And what I would find is that when I came to, the fight would be over, and the emotions were had sort of surpassed, and it was more so a caring environment. And I look back on that now and I'm like, that was really controlling and manipulative behavior on my part. Like that was a shit thing to do, not just to me personally and for my health, but for my partner's health. Like that's a horrible thing to put someone else through. So I look back on that now with a bit of regret, and that's probably why I don't go into it too much, because it's a really dark time and something I'm actually pretty ashamed of, if I'm honest.
That's why I had to bring it up.
Yeah,
here.
at the time,
put you on the spot.
No, which is fine. Like I put it in there to talk about, right? Because for other boys, they're gonna do stuff like cutting or other types of self-harm, whether it's drugs or alcohol, and whatever it is, you know what I mean? It's not the answer. It might give you a short-term fix, but it's really not going to solve it long-term. So you've got to find that positive outlet to be able to let go of that stuff and move on. And if you're, not feeling the love or respect in that relationship, then you're probably in the wrong place.
Have you
I
had...
ask on... sorry.
There you go.
I wanted to ask as well, like, just, you sort of mentioned a little bit how you kind of coped and things like that. Like, obviously we've got each other to talk to. I mean, it's not therapy or anything like that.
This podcast is great therapy.
How did you deal with it? Like, how did you sort of, did you go see somebody, or like, did you have someone to talk to, or?
Yeah, thank you for asking. No, at the time, no, like it wasn't something we ever talked about. Like you couldn't openly talk about our family unit. It was really frowned upon, because it was one of those things where it's like, if you talk about this, everyone might get taken away.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that we could really talk about in schools. Like I read a book in grade 8 called People Might Hear You, which was a great English book. But I said to my teacher at the time, this girl is essentially, she's being held captive in this room. And I'm like, this is actually very similar to my life in some ways. And the teacher kind of laughed at me.
That's crazy. That's
and
wild.
I get it, right? Because, but as if she could possibly know.
Yeah,
it's like your chance to reach out, and she just laughs at you.
I know, but as if she could possibly know. Like, and she would have been like in her early 20s, right? So she hasn't lived the same life experience that I had at the time. So, it probably would have been like a harmless comment. But that was one of those things. That was one of those sliding door moments where I'm like, okay, people aren't going to listen to you if you bring this up anywhere. They're not going to believe you. And even if they did, you don't even know what you're talking about, right? Because what's so bad? You know what I mean? Like you've got a home, you've got a mum there, you've got sisters, you've got lots of people around you. There's one auntie that I was able to really talk to and connect with, and she was like my savior for a lot of it. She stayed by the longest out of any of them. So she was there for the full sort of 12 years. And so she always has like this special place in my heart, and I've got a guardian angel tattooed on my shoulder, and it's sort of modeled after her. And while I haven't seen her in a really long time, she always will have that super important part of my life which sort of kept me alive and kept me safe. So it wasn't until probably 7-8 years ago I noticed some sort of destructive behavior coming back into my life, and some things that were triggering me. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I jeopardizing everything I've worked so hard for? And I want to get some counseling done. And that was the first time that I really ever opened up to someone about everything. And they suggested starting to take a journal on it and starting to write it down. And so I did that. I used it a lot. I used it sort of once a month for probably the best part of a year, and kept going back and just kept opening up. And that was where, the first person ever said, oh, so you're in a cult? And I'm like, no, I just had a lot of aunties living with me, and they weren't really aunties, but not a cult. And then another time, like, oh, so you were homeless? I'm like, no, I was living in my car. That's not homeless. I had a car to live in. They're like, yeah, that's called homelessness. I'm like, look, you tomato. So it was interesting. So it really helped me put titles on a lot of what I've gone through. And I listening to your episodes, I know you guys have tried to put titles on sort of the behavioral patterns that you had seen from parents. And that's something where I haven't tried that, because I guess I don't know if that's going to make it any easier.
It didn't change anything for me when we did it. I thought it would more. The only thing it did was it made me feel comfortable with lying to the parents about things. And I don't know if that's good or bad.
You got to protect yourself. Yeah. You got to protect yourself first, right?
I have no issues lying now, so.
I was pregnant. He's now 7. Please meet my son. Yeah,
we've got our kid now, and that was a real possibility at one point. But she knows better now. So.
In the children protection program, just no one knows where he is. It's great.
I want to mention. I think I definitely have to mention before we get through this. But your grandma, because she plays such a big part in the book, and she's my favorite character. Both your grandparents, really, but your grandma especially was a favorite.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I'm sure people who read the book are going to feel the same way.
Thank you. And look, I'm feeling very blessed, because the room I'm sitting in right now is actually adorned with a lot of my nan's artwork, and some of it actually of my granddad. So it's a very happy place for me to sit in here and have these conversations, because I'm sort of, it feels like they're looking down upon me. And my granddad was incredible. So he was like the only positive male role model I had growing up, and he passed in 91. So we had like really, I was what, 8 at the time when he passed, but he was still such an integral figure in my life. And actually my wife for Christmas a couple of years ago actually got me a copy of his service medals from World War II. He fought in the Kokoda Trail as part of the 2nd 16th Division of the AIF. So like super special, and he was just an incredible man. And my nan was this larger than life character, and I didn't realize how integral she was in the book until I wrote it. I didn't realize sort of how much I loved that relationship of this doting grandmother who just would absorb me in her cuddles and would read me these Christopher Robin stories as the characters and bring the voices to life. And she was just this incredible artist and could paint anything. She won so many awards as a painter and artist. And
she's strong. She's a strong person as well.
She's a really strong person. And I didn't realize how much she was trying to fight for us when I was a kid. It wasn't until I sort of look back when I'm writing these stories where I'm like, wow, like she really went toe to toe with my stepdad to try to wrestle control of this family unit that she was watching. And when she couldn't do it, she relocated from like Western Australia to Brisbane to be closer to us. So we had sort of an outlet there. And while we weren't allowed to see them all that often, we weren't really permitted to. When we would, it was just so much fun. Like I still drive past their place where they used to live at like Burpengary and like the north side of Brisbane. And I can't help, there's this smell when I drive past. It just reminds me of them and the old pub where my pop would take me to watch horse races there. It's just so many memories come flooding back every time I go through there. It's just such a beautiful thing. And I guess I took for granted a lot of that relationship growing up. And the one thing I really miss is my nan's voice. Like I was really fortunate to see her sometimes before she passed, and I got some great photos of her. I used the last photo we've got together is actually in the book, which is a really special one when I was showing her how to take a selfie. And I gave her a book. I'm like, write down all your stories, write down all your memories, all your recipes, all your artwork and stuff like that. Please write this down for me. And she wrote down so many things which helped me bridge gaps in the book. So there's a lot I don't remember, obviously, from the ages like 0 to 4. And so she was able to fill in a lot of those gaps with the stories that she had written for me. And so the one thing I really miss is I wish I had her on tape. So I wish I could just hear her voice. So for anyone listening, if you have older parents or anything like that, just make sure you get a recording of their voice, because the pictures will be there and you'll have the memories, but that voice fades, and it's such a beautiful keepsake.
The book is a beautiful tribute to your grandparents, to your entire family, really. I mean, you said you initially wrote it for your kids, and especially with all those color photos in there, It feels very personal. So a very personal family story. But I read it. I got a lot from it as well. I think other people will too. But it definitely feels very personal. And strangely enough, it also feels like the Guardians of the Galaxy. Do you know why I'm saying that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do, and I love it. I love it because it's look at for me. I've always been a really visual and audio. I don't even know what the word is. Audio triggers me. Visuals and audios are sort of how I remember things. So growing up, like I remember places, I remember faces, I remember sounds and songs and stuff like that. So a lot of what's actually helped me place different times of my life in this book are the songs that I remember listening to or singing along to as a kid. So I've tried to insert them into every chapter, one for a bit of fun, and then also it helps me put some timestamps on the chapters as well and work out where I was at the time. And at the end, I've got a Spotify QR playlist. So if you scan the code, it actually takes you to the playlist and you can actually listen to the songs that each one of them sort of shapes a different part of my life in that book. So they're not curated to be like an epic playlist like Guardians, unfortunately, but it's certainly songs that were meaningful to me at the time, or songs that were certainly a key to my development as a kid.
So I'm a big movie guy. I don't know if this comes across on the podcast or not, but there's types of movies called needle drop movies. It means they have like a lot of songs in them. So Guardians of the Galaxy is a needle drop movie. I think that your book is a needle drop book, which is pretty cool.
Nice. When I write that down, I'm going to claim that one.
Needle drop book.
Needle drop.
You've covered. I've got notes. I always have notes. You've covered pretty much everything. Most of the stuff I didn't even have to ask. You are a fantastic talker. And very easy to listen to. So
thank you. I hope. Yeah, thank you. That's very kind.
What about you guys? What about you? Females,
you
sisters
females
and wives. females attack. Go. Okay, so I think we've got through everything. What about you, Isaac? Was there anything else you wanted to say before you went?
Yeah, cool. Look, the only other thing I'd say, and sorry to give a shameless plug, but the book The Big People's Game is available on Amazon, Booktopia, and all online bookstores. Hopefully be stocked in store in 2025 through Dimmicks and Barnes & Noble for those US listeners.
So don't stress too much about that stuff, because at the end of the episode, I'll probably narrate over the top. So it could be happening right now for all I know. But yeah, I'll narrate over the top and I'll give all the information for where the listeners can find the book. And also in the show notes, I'll put links to the charity and all the stuff like that in there.
Yeah, sounds great.
And so I guess all that's left is just to say a big thank you, my friend, for coming on and being so open and honest. It's been an amazing chat.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a lovely night.
Cool, thank you.
So much.
Love to meet you.
Bye.
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 The Big People's Game by Isaac Curgenven is available from Amazon.com, Dimmicks.com, Booktopia.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Actually, looking at my browser now, it's available everywhere you can buy books. So if you want to read it, and I recommend that you do, just try a Google search. Also, the Stand By You not-for-profit foundation that Isaac mentioned earlier can be found at www.standbyu.org.au. The U in Stand By You is the letter, not the word. And if you do want to visit any of these sites, or maybe donate to Isaac's foundation, I'll put all of these links, as well as the links to the Spotify playlist we talked about, in the show notes. Next time on Walking on Eggshells with an Emotional Vampire. So do you believe that you are a narcissist, or do you believe that's your defining trait?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I'm some sort of a narcissist for sure. But because it's really it's really a weird thing, because I don't feel like I'm a typical narcissist, because I feel like I'm a little bit more aware of my issues. So I try to program it in my mind, like how to deal with the outer world, be like knowing that I'm a little bit of a narcissist, or I'm a little bit, at least having a very high ego, and really too much of a self, maybe prioritizing or self-love or whatever you want to call it.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support is greatly appreciated. Walking on Eggshells with an Emotional Vampire is recorded, edited, and produced by me, Lucas Shaw. Thanks for listening.